So how do scanners actually work? This is pretty much all about scanning. When you scan a photo, you're using a machine to analyze an image and process it into a digital file. So we're turning something into basically data. Um, but that's data that you can preserve. Why would you want to do this? There are some key reasons to consider. It's kind of disaster proofing your history, for lack of a better way to describe it. If you, um, have, and I always do these worst case scenarios, uh, uh, things when I teach this class, but if you have a fire in your home or a flood, you lose all those photos, all those memories.
Yeah.
And protecting them by having them backed up in digital format or just replaced in digital format, if you want to do that, is a way to avoid that. Now there are different ways you can then store those digital files. We have other classes on that, like using cloud apps to store them, say on Google Photos or in uh, Amazon Photos, anything like that. But today we're going to concentrate on just getting them into digital format. Um, okay, so let's go through the different options you have for getting this done. One is, depending on how many you have, and this probably isn't going to be the ideal option if you've got boxes and boxes of these, is to get a USB flash drive. Take your old photos to a local retail outlet like CVS, Walgreens, Office Depot, or to the library and use their equipment there. That's if you don't want to invest in a scanner of any kind, if you don't have one. When you do that, you just take this device to the store, and you've seen this, you can get these for about 10 bucks. You take it to the store and go to their scanner, their photo department, and you just plug this into the appropriate slot and scan your photos and save it to this device. And then you've got it. They typically charge you about a quarter for a scan, which is not bad at all. That adds up if you've got quite a few photos to scan, and there may be a time limit on using the scanner. It depends on what kind of line there is to use it, things like that. Libraries will usually let you scan for free if you have a library card. So that's an ideal option too. And then you have the use of a home scanner, and that can take different formats. You can have just photo scanners. These are specifically designed to scan photographs rather than documents. So you would just slip that in there. This one is the type where it just sort of, where it just has a slot here and it runs through and scans that way. And then you have these all-in-one printers. And this is one sitting on my shelf in my living room. This is a picture of it. It's getting to be a little bit of a dinosaur in the technology world, because every year technology advances far more than we can keep up with. But this is about 10 years old. At the time, it was a pretty high, not high end, but pretty cool device. It's got a touch screen here, and it will not only print from my computer, but it will photocopy if I want to do that, and it will also scan both photos and documents. So let's talk about just a few steps you want to take when you do a scan. And this is so you can get as clean a scan as possible. You might want to go and wipe the scanner bed with a clean microfiber cloth like this. You've probably gotten one of these when you get a pair of eyeglasses. They usually throw that into into the case they give you, but you can buy those at a local pharmacy like a Walgreens or CVS. You might want to carefully dust off the photo too. If it's been sitting in a box, it may have collected dust too. Reason for doing that is that the scan will pick up anything, any little specks of dust sometime that may sort of, affect the quality of what you get. And then you just place those photos in the scanner bed, shut the lid, or for some photo scanners, you put it in a slot, hit scan, and then follow the commands on your computer to actually scan the photo. And then you just choose where you want the scanned photo to be saved, whether that's on your computer, on a separate device. There are different devices, external devices that plug into your computer that you can scan those on. And for faster work, sometimes you can scan more than one photo at a time and then crop later. The other thing I'm going to tell you or advise you to do is to pay attention to this. That is pixels per inch, that PPI. Sometimes it says DPI, digital pixels per inch, but it's the same thing. So it's either DPI or PPI. That is really the intensity of the resolution of the photo. And I would go with a minimum of 300. You will get several options. You will get 300 to 600, maybe even 1200 as an option if you're using, especially if you're using a home scanner. But it may give you the option of doing lower than this, like even as low as 72. That may look fine when you're looking at it on your computer. But if you ever want to reprint that photo for whatever reason, you're going to want to have a higher resolution. And when we're talking about pixels per inch, it's literally what it sounds like. Pixels are those little dots of data that make up an image. So if you remember back to when we learned about how photos were printed in newspapers or magazines or books, those little tiny dots of ink that make up that image. That's how they were produced for print. It's kind of the same concept here, except instead of little dots of ink, you've got little dots of data. So that's actually what's happening when your image is getting scanned. It's turning that picture into pixels.